idea of me seeing it before it happens, that's proof of concept and it's proof of understanding. Okay, so I'm the author of this algorithm, so I can operate in it very efficiently. You, as a student of mine, you have to understand my language first. And then you go into the charts and you study with that language, and you'll be able to see repeating phenomena. And because you're able to do this in your own leisure, you collect these examples of hindsight movement with all of your annotations and your points of interest that you studied and see in your observations. Anywhere in a chart where it's empty space, you want to utilize that and have any kind of observation or encouragement to yourself. And you want to tell yourself in those commentaries that you saw this coming. Okay, and what this does is it tricks your brain. It's self-talk. Okay, it's one of the things that I actually used to overcome agoraphobia, which was the fear of being around other people, because I had extreme anxiety that started obviously from trading, because I built up this large image of myself, and in 2001 all that stuff happened. Okay, and I was afraid of a lot of things, and I had serious anxiety attacks, panic attacks that would come on out of nowhere. The coping skills that I learned to deal with generalized anxiety, I found that were very useful in teaching my students. And it was simply by taking positive self-talk, placing that into your backtesting, where you're note-taking, you're, by all face value of it, you're lying to yourself in these posts in your backtesting. So in your study journal, only you are seeing it, but you're tricking your brain and your subconscious because you're writing it out in your own words. You're studying it, you're looking at it, your subconscious is retaining the image, but it's also retaining what you're saying in it. So when you come back to it at the end of the week or the previous week's backtesting log journals, you read them. And when you read them to yourself, you're reading your own words saying, I saw this setting up where this was likely to drop down here, and I was expecting this turn here because of the fair value gap. And I wanted to see this displacement, and it occurred just like I was expecting. Then it comes back down in and allows me an opportunity to go long. Then I expected the market to move aggressively away from this area and start working towards these short-term highs. And I wanted to take something off above halfway, high to low. I want to take a premium profit scaling, and that's what that is there. So you're pouring yourself into the chart with your annotations for backtesting, and you're doing it in such a way where you're tricking your subconscious like you expected this to happen. And over time, when you do that, you're recording this subconsciously. You don't realize you're doing it, but by doing these things over and over and over again, it activates your reticular activating system. It's the same thing happens when you buy a car. You go out the next day, and all of a sudden, it seems like everybody else bought the same car. The only difference is you've been more sensitive to that because it's more meaningful to you. So these charts will take on that same characteristic when you make them more meaningful to you. How do you do that? You place your personality and your interest in the chart. So everything here, I'm giving you a narrative here. You would do the same thing, just typing it out and putting it in there, and then screen capturing it and storing it in your journal, or printing it out and putting it in your journal. Those things over time will start building on your subconscious as pseudo memories. So critics that hear me say this are gonna be like, oh, this fraud's telling you to lie to yourself. I'm being honest. You are lying in the chart when you do your annotations for study purposes. You're tricking your brain like you had experience seeing this happen. But because over time you're doing that, your subconscious will retain that, and when you start seeing it live, it will remember, hey, I remember that because I did that before, when you technically really didn't. But then now you have pseudo experience. It sounds strange, like it couldn't possibly work like this, but it does. Our brains are extremely